Hey, welcome back to Bibles and Barbells, where we bend the bar and not the truth. I'm Wes.
I'm Conrad.
Hey, again, we're going to say it again. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you to everyone tuning in, whether it be listening on a podcast and or viewing us on YouTube. We appreciate you. We appreciate you coming alongside of us in this journey and just diving into it with us. We know that we're just two guys covering topics that are meaningful to us and just really trying to share Jesus with the world through faith and fitness. So we appreciate you, and we just want to say thank you. Man, today we're going to cover something that I think is almost just as heavy as our last episode, being commitment, but owning our own image. Looking in the mirror and saying, I have to own that. I have to own me, because we live in a culture that is very, very quick to point the finger and very slow to pull the thumb, right? So, man, you want to say anything before I jump into prayer, man? And
No, kind of excited to talk about this one, though.
Yeah, it's going to get heavy, so hang in there with us. Let me pray us in, and we're going to get after it. Lord, we thank you again for just another opportunity to share with the world. We ask that you be glorified in the topic that we're covering, Lord, but we know that our image is created in perfection because you created us, Lord, and we screw it up. We do, and Lord, for that, we humbly ask for the grace that we don't deserve. I ask that you allow any of these words that we share today, Lord, resonate with just one person. Allow us to speak the truth that you've provided and just work through us in these moments, Lord, that this podcast be shared to the masses and that they hear your name, Lord. We ask these things in your name, Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Man, owning the mirror, owning the image. What do you got?
So, again, just kind of like commitment, I look up the definition, right? Because it's kind of good to know what the definition is, or what it's at least perceived by
the world.
The world. But basically what it does is it refers to the practice of taking responsibility for one's actions, decisions, and their consequences, right? Regardless of external influences, right? So like you said, it's instead of pointing the finger, pull the thumb.
Yeah.
Just a quick little experience I had recently with self-accountability. So I was testing my baseball team's broad jumps and verts on Friday. In my brain, I'm like, okay, 8 o'clock, like we're going.
It's go time.
Get a call, 7 o'clock. He's like, Coach, where are you? And I was like, 8 o'clock. And they're like, no, you said 7. I was like, oh no. So luckily, Coach Townsend and Alexander were there and started it,
Sure.
and I hightailed it
up
the hill. But, and this is kind of, this might be small in the big picture of things, but it's kind of where things start, I think. And I got there and I was like, got through it. And after I apologized to him, I said, my bad.
Yeah.
That's on me. And I was like, because we have them do mop-ups when they're late. And I was like, well, I'm not going to do that. But I was like, well, I'll do something just to so they know that
Take the ownership.
Taking the ownership of it. But also mop-ups they're not easy. But I'd almost like to do something a little harder, like do some kind of like stadium or something, just like joining with them. Because a lot of times I'll put them through hell and back.
Yeah.
But it's for them, right? So that's just like one little aspect of it, right? And then I think we talked even a little bit in our last episode. I was saying how me and my wife, one of us is always comes to the point and says, hey, I was wrong. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's big. It seems really small. Not important, but it is, because it's hard to own up when you're wrong. And I'm stubborn.
I am too, and I struggle with it. And my wife, at times, she's like, just say you're sorry. And I'm like, and then man, Yeah, being transparent in the fact that I struggle with that sometimes. And I think, sadly, we struggle with it more with our spouses than we do with the exterior, bodies that we deal with. Because we'll own being late to practice. We'll own screwing something up. We'll own whatever it is at work. But with the person that we're most committed with, for some reason...
Well, I think it's just because that's the person you confide in.
Yeah.
That person's there no matter what.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of times I feel like that's the ones we vent out the hardest to. If, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we unload on them.
Basically. Because I have problems at work. Like, I keep it to myself, and then I'll come home and I'll just...
Yeah.
And she doesn't want to... My wife doesn't want to hear all the crazy problems going on. But she lets me vent, and lucky she does that, because a lot of people, they just might be like, hey, dude, like, shut up, stop complaining.
We all got our stuff.
And there, when you really think about it in the scheme of things too, I'm like, well, I really can't complain. Plus if I did, nobody's listening. But I shouldn't complain. I'm lucky to have the job that I have.
Oh, 100%.
The family that I have. So I don't know. It's kind of funny. It always reverts back to just thankfulness,
Yeah.
in that aspect. But with the self-accountability, you can do these things through different practices.
Yeah.
Right. So kind of like you said, you can put like sticky notes, whatever, set, a clear, measurable goal, right? Using, like a kind of a smart framework. So something like sticky notes, like on the mirror that you're going to see every day. Track your progress, right? And the big one to me is reflecting on my actions regularly. Because then you're always kind of in that self-accountability mode, at least to me personally.
Yep.
And again, I'm not like always good. Like I said, I'm stubborn. My wife would 100% agree with that. She'd say she's stubborn too, but I'm pretty sure I trump over her stubbornness.
100%. I know both. He does. He wins that one.
But, and so I think it's kind of best supported through daily practices.
Sure.
Or reflection, whatever you want to call it. And seeking support from others when needed is big. Because that's also something that's hard to do, I think,
Yeah, because you're vulnerable.
Yeah.
You're vulnerable.
That's hard to do, to lay that out.
Yeah, well, especially as men. We say that all the time, right? We want to own everything. We want to hold on to it. We want to internalize it.
Yep.
We've been trained to do that, right? But, man, there are times where I'm like, I'll shoot you a text. Hey, what do I do here, man? I need some advice. I need, and you'll just be like, dude, you sucked there. That was not good.
It's what it is.
you need to own it. And it's that we own it.
Yeah.
We have to go back and we have to own it, and we take accountability for it.
Yeah.
You said something a minute ago, the self-examination. Galatians 6:4. But each person should examine his own work, and then he will have a reason for someone else, right? And the reason, he will have a reason for boasting in himself alone and not in respect. And it's like, I look at that and I'm going to read it again because I screwed it up. But each person should examine his own work, and then he will have a reason for boasting in himself alone and not in respect to someone else, right? For each person will have to carry his own load. I just hold on to the first part of that, right? Examine your own work. Examine yourself. Look yourself in the mirror and say, did I give it 100%? Did I have one more rep in the tank? Could I have kicked it into another gear? Could I have done something that much more to make sure that everyone in that circle is successful, right? Our commitments, there again, I said commitments, right? Our commitments from last episode, are so great that we have to own a lot. And that's not just us, that's everybody. Ownership of what you do starts with you. You have to wake up in the morning, look in the mirror and say, all right, I'm either going to exist, right? Or I'm going to excel. And that's it.
Difference between exist and excel.
Yeah.
Bigger than people think. Again, that's something relatable to athletes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to excel and do you want to be good? Do you want to put in that effort and give it everything you have, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, that leads to self-accountability on their part. You know if you're doing enough or if you're not.
Yeah.
Now, you can also, I think, individuals are usually their own worst critic. Because there's times where I'm like, God, can I do better? Whatever it might be.
Sure.
Just being better father,
Mm-hmm.
better son, better husband, a better strength coach.
Yeah.
Am I giving them what I have, wholeheartedly, basically am I giving them everything? And a lot of times, my wife will tell you I'm a perfectionist. Part of that, I think, that whole thing in terms of perfectionism is I feel vulnerable. Like, they might be judging me Coach Dolly, what the hell are we doing?
Yeah. Why are we doing this?
And so I try to, I probably in all reality, I self-reflect almost every day, I would say, but a lot of times it's I think I'm a little too hard on myself sometimes. So, in terms of the self-accountability, I feel like there's a medium ground there.
Yeah.
You don't want to be too critical of yourself.
No.
Because then you have to think, when I'm talking about certain things, in terms of what I do for a living, some people are like, what? What are you talking about? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think I get in my head because my circle of people or things that I follow or, it's in that world, which is maybe 1% of the population. But I'm thinking that's 99% of the population.
Sure.
So a lot of times I'm like, okay, well, and then again, that leads to my self-accountability on doing my job and putting in the extra effort to, collect the data, analyze it, write it out. So then, right, I can see it and I'm like, okay, we're doing pretty good. We're developing physically. So sometimes I do get caught. I think I'm a little too hard on myself. So I wouldn't say, when, self-accountability, don't start, judging yourself. Because that's kind of, I catch myself at that's what I'm doing. And I don't think that's the healthiest thing to do, but I'm, when you're in it, I'm thinking, oh man, this self-accountability. And I just it's just making me feel like crap. And then I think about it, I'm like, no, it's I know if I gave them enough, if I gave them what I have.
Yeah.
And I know if I did or I didn't. And so I think that's just me being a judgmental on myself. So at least, there's times I kind of catch myself, right? But I feel like when I'm like that, one of the best, I'll say in the workplace, so what we do as coaches, teachers, whatever, I think self-accountability contributes to trust and reliability.
I agree.
And so what are we always asking, our athletes and our students? Buy in.
Yeah, trust
right?
the process.
Trust me. Rely on me. Right? So it's I think individuals who take ownership, of their actions, they're seen more dependable and one of our favorite words, committed, right? To our goals. And a lot of times with what we do, our goals align with theirs, even if they don't realize it yet, because it's all geared around, we want you to be successful, not just, in your sport or in your academic career. We want you to be successful in life. My big thing as a coach, so I try to, I'm not outwardly speaking about it, but I try and lead by example.
Yep.
And I want these young men and women to be people that their society, right? Their, where maybe you live in a small town or whatever it is, they can rely on you.
Yeah.
To do the right thing, right? To be there. Now, again, though, but that all kind of leads to that self-accountability, right? Should I be doing this?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do it anyways, right? It happens.
Yeah.
But I think the more if we realize and hold true that self-accountability, I guess basically what I'm saying is I think society would be a little bit better. To be honest. But again, all that's got to be, I think, centered around God.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
I look at self-accountability and agree with what you said, and the fact that, and I try and look at it from a spiritual aspect, but also the worldly aspect, and the fact that we live in a culture now that is so quick to point the finger. They're so quick to take things out of context. The world's so quick to say, no, you did that. You said that. You. And it's never me. It's never I. It's never the person in the mirror, right? They're always like, well, he said this, and this is what we're doing because of him. No. We all have a hand in the ongoings of every day, right? I don't care if it comes down to what you do at work as a coach, what you do as an athlete, what you do as an employee of the company. You have to own your mission, right? It starts with you.
For sure.
And if you're not willing to look yourself in the mirror and say, okay, today's going to be a great day, regardless of what's put in front of me, I'm going to make the best of it. That's a you thing.
Yeah.
It's not a me thing. Because you're negative, and this, obviously I'm talking directly right at you, but I'm saying this in general, like, if I'm walking into work and somebody is extremely negative, I'm not going to allow their negativity to affect my outcome because I have to own me.
And that can be hard to do.
It can be hard to do. It can be a difficult task, but I'm also not going to turn around and criticize that person for their negativity, right? Like, it's not my job to judge that person. Yeah. It's my job to care for that person and find out what's wrong.
And those are the people you pray for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, we so oftentimes ask people to buy in, right, and be accountable to what we're doing, and committed to what we're doing, right? I always told the athletes, like, look, I'm not going to ask you to do something that I haven't already done or I wouldn't be willing to do with you right now, right? Owning that. But I have to own my imperfections, right? I have to own my daily actions. And it is hard sometimes because, it could be something as lashing out in anger.
Yeah.
The feeling of that sucks, right? And coming back and owning it is a level of embarrassment. And that sucks even worse, right? Yeah. So we have to be able to own that, but we have to be able to be accountable to it as well, because the people that actually care about us and that are in our circle, man, those are the last people you want to hurt.
It's like, I don't know, when you were saying that, it popped in my head. I have a 2.5-year-old who's amazing. Like, I'd do anything for that kid.
Oh, yeah.
And there's things they'll do, like, maybe the house is always dirty, they're leaving things around, or there's like marker on the wall. And there was times where I'd get like pissed. I'm like,
yeah.
But then it wasn't just like at her, it was, at my wife. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you're not watching, you know what I mean? So I was definitely projecting that out, but I was like, well, what was I doing?
Yeah.
I'm just as much, but then I'm also like, you're a kid. You're figuring it out. And I was like, there's going to be times where I miss that.
Yeah.
I'm like, time flies, especially when you have kids, as you know.
Yeah.
It's
and frightening.
I've gotten to the point, I'm like, it's material. that's all material. I was like, my love, for my wife and my daughter and, my family, that's real.
Yeah.
That's, I think, utmost importance. So I've actually gotten a lot better. Something happened. I'm just like, well, approaching it more like, hey, we don't want to do that. We want to keep this nice, but I get it. You try to, like, I've been trying to make it more as a learning tool now instead of just like,
Yeah.
being angry.
Yeah.
So I feel like I've been better at it. My wife might say something different, but I feel like I've been better. And again, though, what did that lead? That was self-accountability on myself, right?
Yeah.
I had to look in the mirror and be like, why am I getting upset? She's a kid. She's learning. And that's the thing, though, too. Parents, we're learning with the kids, especially with your first one.
Yeah.
So it just, I don't know. When you were saying that, that started resonating in my brain, that I'm like, be quicker to forgiveness, not quick to anger.
Yeah.
But again, these are all like different concepts you can't really do unless you can hold yourself accountable. Mm-hmm. Right? Because you got to be able to be like, I did that. I shouldn't have done that. Yep. I could have pointed my finger at my wife all day and be like, well, she was under your watch. Like, what were you doing? You know what I mean? Which is definitely not good and not right. But
it would not lead to a pleasant conversation.
No, but I'm being honest here. I've done it, and I've always felt guilty after, because I'm like, it's
not good,
not right.
Yeah, it's not what we should be doing.
And
I think as men who daily we struggle with our own imperfections, right? We both do. We have this conversation all the time. Man, we still struggle at times to lead our own home, right?
It's not easy.
And we're called to lead our home. We're called to lead our wives. We're called to lead our children. Mm-hmm. But it's not easy, especially when we're in the wrong in things. But I think that, and I know that our growth as men, as people, comes from doing that hard thing, which is saying, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Sounds easy.
Yeah. It's not. And I mean, as I sit here and I think about it, I'm like, man, babe, I'm sorry. I screw up daily. Yeah. I do, and I'm going to. I'm imperfect, and I'm thankful that I have the spouse, right? You have the spouse who openly welcomes our imperfections, and they take us for what it is, right?
Yep.
And I hope and I pray that whoever's watching or listening finds that person, that God puts that person in your life, that your imperfections don't matter, but they will hold you accountable and make you become self-aware of your imperfections, because that's where our growth is. That's self-accountability. We look at things, right? And we look at our athletes, or we look at whatever it may be. And I want to speak to the people that are just maybe starting out in fitness, right? That self-accountability comes from your commitment and your dedication to you and your growth. But if you fail to prepare in life, you should prepare to fail. You should. You should. You and I are big on prepping our meals. Mm-hmm. It's just a simple task.
I'm lucky my wife does ours.
Yeah. But in that small thing, right? You're preparing, right? You're holding yourself accountable to, okay, this is my goal. I'm not going to exceed my caloric intake, mm-hmm. right? I need to be in a caloric deficit because I want to shed a couple pounds, or whether we're in the bulk, which we always seem to look like we're in the bulk. We're in that caloric excess, right? But man, the accountability part, accountability is, and self-accountability in general, I think could be the most difficult thing, because I'm going to go back to the fact that we don't live in a society that honors accountability. Sadly, a handshake is not a handshake anymore.
Yep.
Like, we used to be able to work off of shaking hands and knowing that that person was going to get whatever we agreed upon done.
And you held true to that agreement.
And you held true to that. You had a moral compass that allowed you, told yourself accountable to whatever commitment you made. And we don't live in that world anymore, sadly. I pray that it comes back, and I think slowly it's going to, but it's going to take a lot of people doing a very, very deep evaluation and assessment and a really hard gut check to say, man, I suck.
Yeah. Yeah.
I need to make the change here, and here to even come close to where I want to be.
Well, like we talked about last episode, right? It's everything we do, we made that choice.
Yeah, we made it.
God gives us that freedom to make the choice. Wrong, bad, or indifferent. Right?
Absolutely.
So it just, that's why I always say self-accountability can be so important, is because it's based on your choices.
Yeah.
Choices you make. So I feel like, you know, in terms of, like, say, my marriage, right? That is all, I don't want to say it's all based on choices, but it's based on choices with that person in mind, right? Now, not always, because we're selfish people. There's going to be times where we're being selfish, right?
Absolutely.
But I just think we try to make the right choices, right? And we're like, okay, that was it. But sometimes I'll think about it as like, well, it wasn't the right choice. It was a selfish choice.
Sure.
So it was right for me, you know? That, to me, that is all kind of encompassed under self-accountability, right? And I think even if you do that, but you can come to the realization like, okay, well, that was selfish, you know, like,
Yeah.
whatever. But it's choices, again, good, bad, or indifferent, they're all learning tools.
Yeah.
All learning tools.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we preach to our athletes all the time, is your biggest learning experiences are in failure, not success. You can't have that success without that failure, right? But again, I don't think you realize what's failure, what's success if you don't have that self-accountability.
I agree.
Right? So it kind of even, right, putting it into that kind of aspect makes it even more important, I think, the term itself, you know, self-accountability. But it's just, I'm just thinking about some choices I've made in the past that were just selfish. But, you know, I made, you know, it could have been years ago.
Sure.
And I'm like, you know, like in college.
Yeah, they hit
right?
you.
Like, I'm going to put myself on the spot here, but me and my wife's story. Okay, we dated long distance.
Yeah.
I was up at Chico State. She was playing volleyball at CSUB. And she'd travel up. She'd take the train and then the bus into Chico. And I don't know, we dated for somewhere between 6 to 8 months. She'll probably tell you the exact time frame, but I know it was somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Young, selfish, me, I'm talking about. When all she did was, I mean, she was awesome. She loved me. A little, you know, insecure, but that's long distance, right? Like
young,
and well. I was insecure. Not, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So it was. I can't believe I'm going to say this. So she came up with my parents for a track meet. Okay, and I was just like, I remember I was kind of getting over the flu, and I still competed, so I wasn't in a good headspace already.
Yeah.
Not an excuse, but she's on the way home, and she was texting me. She goes, "Is everything okay?" And I was like, I don't think we should see each other anymore. So I broke up with her like a hole. While she's on this 6-hour drive home with my parents.
Yeah. Via text.
She's crying in the back seat.
Yeah.
So, and I got a ripping from my mom and dad, rightfully.
Absolutely.
Rightfully. But a few years go by. always followed her and stuff because she became an IFBB pro figure.
Yeah.
So it was awesome to see, her personally grow, as I'm doing my thing.
Sure.
And then kind of funny, a buddy of mine, Zach Wales, who's my longtime college roommate, we were through together. He goes, yeah, I saw Allison at, it was like an expo or something. And I was like, how's she doing? I was like, dang, I should really reach out to her, and just kind of apologize again was kind of the deal. And so I got a hold of her. It was like, hey, how's everything going? How are you? Like, kind of sorry for
how I
did, I said I was immature. Again, leading to self-accountability.
Yeah.
This is years.
Yeah.
Right. But, and it was, we start talking just daily. Sure. And she was like, this is a crazy thing. This is God, 100%. That night before, she had a dream about me. The night before. When we hadn't talked yet.
For a year. Yeah.
I didn't reach out until that next day.
Yeah.
So that was an absolute godsend, right? Yep. So, right, we date for, I think, about 3 years, and then we got married in November of 2019. And the rest is history, building a family together and, our career. She's a massage therapist now and loves what she does, and people love her for it.
Yeah, she's good.
She's very spiritual, as am I. And I think back then, I don't think we were quite like that. Like, we would go to church and stuff, but it wasn't, it was like, oh, this is the right thing to do. Like,
yeah.
Now it's like, we can't always make it to church with kids and stuff. We'd like to, and we need to make it more of a point to do that. Just be like, no, every Sunday, this is what we're going to do. This is what we want to do. But sometimes life gets a little crazy, but that's always the center of our relationship is our faith.
Yeah.
She does a women's group now that she loves, and so if I got to pick up the slack somewhere, if I'm working late, I got to pick up the daughter so she can do that. I'm more than happy to do that. But I look at our relationship now, and I always wonder, like, would it be as strong as it is early on if we didn't, if I wasn't an a-hole, like,
if you didn't screw
years
it up
ago, like if I didn't, or, it's just something I always kind of battle in my mind because I'm like, well, what if I was more mature then, and did that, and we just had this great relationship. We got married earlier, we had kids earlier. But I just started thinking about it, like, no.
You weren't ready.
God has a reason for everything that he did.
Absolutely.
Right? Even just, he goes, all right, Conrad, make you a bad guy right now.
Yeah.
But it's for your guys' growth in the future.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not going to realize that at the time. And these are things that I just started realizing, we've been married since 2019, and I've just recently started really thinking about it. Because, there's little things like, I always tell her, I was like, you're going to be bald soon because your hair is just everywhere, right? But it's like,
that's every wife.
It's that teasing though, and I kind of find it's like her imperfections are the things I really love.
Yeah.
But again, I'm gonna come back to it a little bit. Sorry, that was a tangent. Telling that story. Hopefully, my wife's okay with that. I'm sure she is. But that's all self-accountability.
Yeah. Yeah.
I knew I was wrong. Mm-hmm. Took me some years.
Took some time.
But
it took growth.
And it did. It did.
It took growth.
And on both of our parts, we both had growing to do.
Sure.
I'd say more me than anything for sure. That's probably like a 70-30 me. Outside of the 60-40 me being right most of the time. But
yeah. There
again,
you go.
she'd disagree with that. But yeah, it just thinking about it, that self-accountability, it's just like that last episode we talked about commitment. It's just so important.
Yeah.
For you spiritually, for you physically, for your family.
Yeah.
I think it's just it's something that, and that again, it's something that's constant work, just like a marriage,
Yeah.
right? Did God ever say marriage would be easy?
Nope.
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 It's constant work, constant. But and I think you have to have at least some of that self accountability to be able to commit to that work.
Yeah.
Ooh, wow! I like how I tied that in right there.
I did. I did like that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But so it's just owning your faults and being true to yourself, to your spouse.
Ooh.
You know,
Owning your faults. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We so oftentimes, and there again, I'm going to bring back modern society, culture. We want to boast. Mm-hmm. We want to boast. We want to brag. We want to do things, and I'm guilty of doing it more than anybody. But if we take accountability and we walk humbly, it makes more sense, right?
yeah,
It's Romans 14:12. So then each of us will give accountability to God for our transgressions, right? We will each give accountability. Not, we're going to do it as a group. We're going to each be held accountable for everything that we do. We're going to stand at that gate and he's going to say, here's your book. What's in the file? Wait, do you want me to open it or do you just want to spill it out now? Right? And man, I just want to know that I was a good and faithful servant and I'm accountable for my actions. I'm accountable for my wrongdoings. I'm accountable for my transgressions against others. Mm-hmm. And I think that's hard. I know that's hard.
yeah,
It's like you said, it took you years of growth before you could come back and say, hey, I'm sorry, I screwed up. I need to be accountable for what I did and how I did it. She was on a 6-hour ride home with your parents, right? Like,
it still stinks.
yeah, it hurts, right? Like, and we're going to continue to struggle with that.
Yeah.
I think people out there that are watching and listening, the accountability aspect is going to be one of the most difficult things that you encounter along your journey, whether it be your physical journey in the weight room and life and fitness, or your spiritual journey with Christ, because you have to own your sin. You have to own your faults. We have to own that we're not going to be perfect. I mean, I'm never going to have the arms that you have, right? And I have to own that.
Yeah.
Like, I have to own the fact that, am I going to strive for it? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think where it comes in is when we fail, we don't point the finger.
Yeah.
And there's no truer place than under the bar to understand that, like to know that
they're not going to lie to you.
It's not, the weight will not
you
lie.
You get it or you don't.
You either get the lift or you don't, right? We're either pulling it up or we're squatting it down and we're getting up, and the weight will not lie. It will hold you accountable.
Yep.
You either did the work or you didn't. And it's the same with self-reflection. You're either doing the work daily and reflecting on, man, I screwed this up yesterday.
Yeah.
I need to go back and make amends and make it right. And holding yourself accountable to that, or you don't. And you have to live with that. And hopefully, on the positive aspect, like you did, years later, you come back and you make amends, you apologize, and something beautiful comes out of it, right? And you and I are the firm believer that that's God's hand at work.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
But it does, I come back to the fact that, like we said in Romans 14:12, we will all be held accountable for our actions to God. So why not hold yourself accountable now, do the hard thing, and just own up to it. Yeah. Stop pointing the finger. Yep. Start pulling the thumb. Yep. Look yourself in the mirror and own your imperfections. You don't have to be happy with them. I mean, you probably shouldn't, but you have to own them.
Yeah.
I mean,
actually, I got to give a shout out to my mom. So after that whole story I just told you, once they got home, she talked with Allison, right?
Sure.
Obviously, and this is how much of a saint my mom is. And she just goes, Allison, if it's meant to be, it'll happen.
Yeah.
And Allison remembers that till this day. And she's got a very strong relationship with my mom.
Yeah.
Like my mom, she'll tell you, she's not a daughter-in-law. That's my daughter. Mm-hmm. She's my daughter. And I think, part of it, my mom watches our little girl every day, so they have this crazy bond, but when my mom's, she's close with my dad. She's close with my family.
Yeah.
My brothers, my sister, and that's something that Allison, I think, has always held true to, is that if it's right, God will make it happen.
Absolutely.
Right. So it's every day is a blessing.
Yeah.
Could be a bad day, still a blessing. Mm-hmm. So just want to shoot a shout out to my mom. I appreciate you.
I mean,
and my wife.
The two women in your life that are holding strong. I look at the good, the bad, and the ugly of self-accountability and accountability in general. For many years, here we go, laying down the truth of where we screw up. For many years, did not know what that looked like. Mm-hmm. My parents laid out a great blueprint to be accountable. Yeah. But as we grow as men, we go into our college years and we go rogue, right? We don't know what that accountability feels like or looks like. And I remember early on in the relationship of my wife and I, we sat in the pew together, and our senior pastor at the time, Dr. Spradlin, was preaching on marriage and engaging in sin before marriage, right? And I felt like he was burning a hole through my chest. Like, there's 3,000 people in the pew at that time, but I felt like everything he said was directed right at me. And I went home. We left. We did the post-Sunday service, things that we do, meal, whatever it may be. But I remember that night calling my mom and saying, I need to go ring shopping. I need to marry Carly. I need to ask her if she'll marry me. And we were young, right? Well, she was. I was not. I'm 8 years older than my wife. But I just remember that moment of, dude, you're screwing up. You want this to be right with me? You need to do what's right by you and then make it happen, because God, yeah, I sucked. I still suck, man.
Same.
And I still struggle with this to this day, being accountable to some of my actions. And
absolutely same.
But we're blessed to have a foundation that is steadfast and unmoving and unwavering, right?
Yep.
And we are more so blessed to have spouses who are quick to tell us we're wrong, and remind us that we can apologize for things.
AK, it's their softer touch on saying, hold yourself accountable, buddy.
Yeah. Be accountable, right? And it's an awesome thing. For those that are tuning in or listening or whatever it may be, whatever avenue you're on here is, we're not just accountable to us in the mirror. We're accountable to those around us. We go back to that term commitment, right? But that accountability going hand in hand. And, I'm going to bring up the man behind the camera, Drew, right? Like, his accountability to us and his commitment to what we're doing. Man, if you could see the production scale that is in the garage, and the hours that he's put in for us and this show, He's accountable to us. Doesn't have to be.
Not at all.
Right? And I'm humbled by it. And I'm extremely thankful for it, because we would not be able to do what we get to, we wouldn't be the talking heads that we get to be, right?
Yeah.
And but he said something yesterday that resonates with me and will continue to, and I'm holding on to it because I wrote it down. And he's like, we don't own any of it. We don't own it. God owns it. You don't own this. God owns it. Be accountable to what God has given you and use it for good. And it's like, whew, okay, I'm a mess. I screwed up. I suck. Okay, God, here it is. I'm going to lay it out for you. I'm going to lay it all down, right? Sometimes it takes getting hit in the face. Sometimes you get hit in the mouth to realize that the words that are coming out of your mouth suck. Yeah. And you need to eat them, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
that accountability can be real. It can be ugly, but it needs to happen. And
Needed.
we have to hold not only ourselves accountable, but we're accountable to each other. And we never want to watch anybody stumble or fall, right? And I'm going to circle that back into the people that are with us on this journey, right? If you need accountability partners, if you need somebody to help you with accountability and you're struggling with it, tell us. Put it in the comments. Send us a message. Send us an email. We'll help. It may be something as easy as we're going to send you a text message, or we're going to send you a weekly reminder of, hey, here were your goals. Where are you at now? You know, you may need to FaceTime us. I don't know. I don't know what that looks like for you. But if you need that accountability partner in any aspect of life, let us know.
Absolutely.
Because we care and we want you to be successful. So, man, another heavy topic.
Yeah.
I feel like we're just
hit a lot of heavy topics.
gut punching people right in the beginning. So please don't.
Next episode we'll go fitness based.
We'll go fitness based. I think we keep saying that, right? We're 3 episodes in, and we keep saying we're going to tie in more fitness, but we will.
Episode 4, we will.
We will. So hold tight to that. We got to get through the good, the bad, and the ugly before we get to the great.
Yep.
And hold on to it. Keep tuning in. We will give you some data points, and we will geek out on fitness this next time.
Yep.
So, anything else on accountability, man?
No, I think we hit it.
Hit it. We're killing the horse right there.
Yep.
So, okay. Well, let me lead us out in prayer, and we'll get with it. So, Lord, we just thank you again for another opportunity to come before you and your people and share your word. I know that some may stray from it, Lord, but we ask that you hold them accountable. We ask that you continue to hold us accountable in this journey, Lord. Hold us accountable to each other. Hold us accountable to the principles in which you've instilled upon us, Lord. Lord, I ask that whatever we might have shared, Lord, be a fruit of your labor, Lord, that those people watching or listening, that it touches their heart and they become accountable to you. Lord, I hope that whatever we do draws people near to your world, to your heart, so that they can sit in the righteous right hand of your throne, Lord. Lord, I ask that you continue to guide us, protect our families, protect our friends, protect our viewers and listeners, Lord. Come around this team with a hedge of protection, Lord, so that we may carry on and carry out your mission, Lord, that we may spread your word to the world. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Man, I appreciate you. I appreciate Drew behind the camera.
Yes, sir.
Again, if anything we've said resonated with you, just like it. Like it, share it, send it out to your friends, and subscribe because it helps. It helps us reach a broader audience, and that's our selfless plug. So, as always, remember, bend the bar, not the truth. We'll catch you next episode.
Yeah.